Hello, how are you? Here I am again doing an invitation for all of you to continue supporting this Church of Light at churchoflight.org. We have a new philosophy or a new way of looking at life, and that is based on almost every single principle that already exists in society, that already seen that some of the indigenous tribes have those belief systems, which is basically to take conscious of the energy around us, the energy that support the life in this planet and many other planets in the universe. Of course, the science has been able to precisely say what it is that this life exists, but we have a way of imagining these things like we used to 100 years ago, when we used to imagine about men going to the moon and finally somebody realizing the dream that mankind had. What I wanted to talk to you about today is all these things that are coming up, the fact that many people are leaving traditional religious organizations, and that is because with the advent of the internet and the diffusion and dissemination of information all over the world, it's a lot easier now for all of us to reach or find out where the legends are, where the myths are, and we come down and sit down and figure out that what matters for us is just right now, this moment, this life, this job, these friends, this family that we have, and we try to get into different relationships with different people, but now we don't want to belong just because we have a need to belong like most humans do, but we want to belong to something not superior but different, and perhaps with understanding that what love is, which is not that high school love that accelerates our hearts when we see somebody we like, but it is more like a love that helps us think of the other person being more important, and their health being more important, and their stability being more important. And so therefore, if they are more important and they are more stable and healthier, then we are the same way. We are perceiving ourselves also as healthier and more loving, more understanding. So what we are pursuing through this, and why we call them churches, actually because it's a very common way of determining a different group of people, which are actually not political, and we're not political, and which are not enemies of the establishment. We are not anti-establishment. We are for evolving of the establishment. Evolutionizing, changing, transforming. Now, the establishment has told us for a long time that we have differences of opinion when it comes to believe like a Christian, or to believe like a Muslim, or to believe like a Buddhist. But the essence of everything is this: it is written by a man, interpreted by a man, spoken by a man, and obviously are thoughts that come from a man. Every book written in history about religious or myth of any kind, whether it be the Egyptians, the Babylonians, or the Greeks or the Romans, all those legends were written by men. The Bible, written by men. Yeah, there's some people who believe that it's written by God through men. Well, belief, the whole word belief, describes the essence of that particular viewpoint. It's a belief. And it is very important to have a belief. It's very important to believe in oneself. It's very important to believe in society. It's very important to believe in the importance of life. Very important to believe in people. When I go and I want to fly from, let's say, Phoenix to LA, or Phoenix to Chicago, Phoenix to New York, I'm thinking that I have to have faith in order to get in that plane. It's very simple for me to explain faith. Someone tighten up those bolts the right way. Someone, another human being, make sure that those computers were working correctly. Someone, another human being, is going to be flying that airplane, is going to be controlling that airplane. So basically faith in humankind is basically faith in people have done the right thing the correct way for me to be safe, whichever environment I am. If I am at the mall, if I am at the museum, if I call up for a taxi, I have faith that someone in the assembly line doing those taxis, building those cars, those vehicles, was paying attention and doing the right thing, the right way to be safe and to protect life. The same way when we go to a doctor and we ask for medication because we feel sick. The same way we have faith in humanity. We have faith that those laboratories, that those people that are doing the research, the scientific research to know how to go down to the molecular level and cure some illnesses, not all, but pretty much a lot of the illnesses that used to kill us about 150 years ago, they don't do it anymore. Now, how accurate these are? Well, it's pretty much accurate. You know, not long ago I had pneumonia, and obviously I couldn't cure by myself. Now there is a lot of natural things that contains elements that can heal your body, and that is true. There is also other techniques like acupuncture, a Chinese technique that plays with the energy in the body and balances that energy, and therefore supposedly acts from the inside the cell and heal itself, which is basically interfering in the reproduction of the cell. The cell, when it gets sick, it becomes deformed from the center out, from the inside out. All the sicknesses like a virus go inside the cell and destroys the nucleus, destroys the information, destroys the DNA information, and so the next cell that is formed is deformed, basically, is formed amorphous or without form and without information. So therefore when that dies, it dies, it's gone, it's no replication after that. So we have faith that this scientific research is doing the correct thing, the right way for us to protect human life. And that, my friends, is called faith. Not belief system, it's faith. It's knowing that someone somewhere, and we can see it in our minds, in our mind's eye, or third eye, as many of you know it from different teachings, that this is an amazing way of looking at the world. And I'm not saying not only that it's important that we have this faith, I'm saying that it is important that we pay attention how to have this faith and in where we place this faith. I mean, I don't place my faith when I go to a church of any kind and say that somebody up in the front say that they have the capacity or the gift of healing, and therefore I'm going to go there so they can touch me and make me whole. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you something, because I am in control of my mind. The universe made me in its image. And the universe has the energy that is all powerful, almighty, all transforming, and all healing, and all creative. So therefore, I'm already made that way. I don't need somebody to remind me that. You don't need me to remind you that you are an extraordinary human being. You don't need me to remind you that as an extraordinary human being, you have all the rights as a son and daughter of the universe to ask the universe for something. Now, the universe has the solution to all your problems. All you gotta do is believe. Believe becomes the platform from where you will jump into the next step, into the next evolutionary step, which is basically knowing that society as a whole, humanity as a whole, is going through a transformation stage right now that is going to culminate in a total transformation, and we will be able to see that more and more throughout the different media communications, because right now they are not letting this information and this message to go through the regular TV media. Now, what I mean by that, and I mean this, as a teacher, as a conference, as a teacher, an instructor who have traveled through all throughout Mexico, 14 states in the United States, 4 provinces in Canada, interview many indigenous people, shamans, believers, historical figures. I came to the conclusion that my belief system, which was basically Judeo-Christian, has some flaws. And those flaws were that didn't let my mind open to the possibility that we are not alone, and we live in a different dimension, a dimension of physical things, physical for us, but could be non-physical for others, depending who are looking at us. There is a movie out there called The Others that kind of gives us an idea of what it is. So who is afraid of what, you know, or where are we going, where are we moving, which is this energy that is feeding us and maintaining us? We probably say, well, it's the food we eat, it's all these things, but you know, if we don't imagine that it's something more than just the food we eat or just the clothes we wear, then we cease to exist in our minds as a whole, as a togetherness, as a body. And humanity is like one human body, complex human body. But every cell in the body has a function, and every function that it determines which is the location of the body. So as we grow and we evolve and we change and we transform, we locate or we are moved into this new location. Now, it happens to me that 40 years ago, I started to be a toenail, perhaps, in the body of this humanity. I was starting to learn. I was starting to see things from a different viewpoint, to research history, if you might say that, to research philosophy. And so, as this cell transforms and becomes more useful in other areas, it's going to move, and move. But there are cells that are born that way, that are made that way, that they cannot change its nature, like the cell that is in the human heart, for example, or the cell that is in the brain, or the cell that is in the different glands that we have that produces the chemicals that keep us going, that keep us thinking, that keep us speaking, smelling, all these other things that are wonderful in the human body. So they cannot move from their location. They might move within the location, right? There will be a cell that it was and outside of the artery or the aorta, and then it could move up or move down depending, but it's in the same essence. In essence, has the same nature. So are we as humans. We cannot change. We are born in a certain way. We cannot change. What it is that we cannot take those differences and say that we're less important, because we cannot say that the cells in the heart are less important than the cells in the brain. They're all important in order for the body to function. So therefore we cannot say that the Russians are less important, or the Chinese are less important, or the Israelis or the Palestinians or the white people or the brown people or the black people or the yellow people. We cannot say that. And by that we also have to allow that we're born that way. If we are born that way, then we are that way. We are born to be. We are born to be part of that body, in that specific position of the body that would allow us to continue life as we know it. Now, what am I getting at? Our church, our organization, or ecclesia, if you want to call it that way, ecclesia, call out once. And that means the universe places a call in my heart to be out, to get out. And not only to get out, but to seek the value of being out. Because there is people that wants to get out just because they don't want to be in it, And there is me, there is you. That's why you are watching this video. They want to get out. We're called by the universe to do something. We don't know what. We just answer the calling. So with the ecclesia, we're answered out to do something. And as we answer this calling, we receive information. Not from books, though. I mean, we might read books, we might watch movies, we might interact with one another, we might exchange ideas, but really, the answers comes to you and to me through meditation upon all these things. Meditation and carefully looking at what has value for human life and what doesn't have value for human life. In my conclusion, and the conclusion of many of my friends, from which I receive a lot of support, moral support, we believe that gay lifestyle or being gay is natural. It comes as a natural part of the body. It's a part of the humanity. It's part of the human value. Now, if you take one book, the Quran, or you take another book, the Bible, you might find scriptures that you can interpret to be or if you are totally obedient to those, you know, myths and those books, then you make it to be non-gratos or non-permissible. But it is not what the, you know, the same way, if the cell and the brain will have consciousness and independent thought, and the cells in your heart will have consciousness and independent thought, you know, the heart will say, wait a minute, I work 24/7. You know, this cell and the heart is going to say, I work 24/7. I'm more important than the brain cell who goes to sleep for 8 hours, you know. But they don't. You know why they don't? Because they were made to be that. A cell for the brain, a cell for the heart. You and I were made to be what we are. When we answer the call, we're being molded, we're being created, we start like in a genesis of our own, a spiritual genesis, if you might say. Then we discover that we're part of this organ of the body, and that is the way we decide. Now, am I saying, or am I completely overlooking that there are habits that can be developed, and you say, well, some of the things can be bad habits. Some, for example, drinking alcohol can be a bad habit. Can be a destructive habit if you do it in excess. Now, practicing homosexuality for a man could be a habit, could be a sexual habit. Doesn't necessarily mean that he is gay or that she is a lesbian. It could be a habit. But for the most part, most people that say, you know what, this is what I am, this is how I accept it, I like myself, this is how I am, then we as humanity have to accept that they are an organ, they are a part of this body. There's a cell with specific functions. And let me tell you the functions. I believe that the functions of this group, when two women love each other, when two men love one another, which, you know, I love men, I have friends that I love very much, and my wife has friends she loves very much. And that doesn't mean that it's not possible that two people of the same sex can see each other and say, oh no, I really love this person. And we see that all over the place. So, there are many children out there, fatherless or motherless or orphans, totally without support of any kind that can give them the place for them for warmth, to call it home, to be educated, to have an opportunity. And so we have this taboo in our society not to talk about these things, but how important these couples are. They are extremely important in the body of humanity. Now, if you're a minister, you are watching this, you say, well, in the body of Christ they don't have part. Well, not in your particular viewpoint, okay? But we live in a country, fortunately for a lot of us, where there is freedom. And the freedom is that we believe in our Church of Light that this is possible. That you can be a God-fearing person, a loving person, and don't totally obey 100% what the Quran says or what the Bible says. Not totally. See, that's the thing about freedom. The thing about freedom is that what is important is to be a good person, a good element of humanity, one that shows compassion, love, desire for learning, opening to new scientific discoveries, opening to new philosophies, new ways of looking at the world, new ways of living in a civilized society. That means living in a society where we're not permissible to the point where everybody can go and do whatever they want to. But we have rules, and we have a rule of law, and we have regulations which are the ones that help us have faith in the food manufacturing and the pharmaceutical manufacturing and all these other things that we do. Now, is this 100% proof? Nothing is 100% proof. That is the reason why we need faith. We need faith because nothing is 100% proof. There is no one man on earth, or one woman on earth, or one group of men or one group of women that can tell us that they can give us all the answers to everything that we know. What we know right now so far is this: angels do exist. Whether they the way you envision them because you were a child and somebody gave you this person with wings, or you envision it to be that you are thinking, you're sending out good thoughts, positive thoughts, thoughts of love, thoughts of understanding, thoughts of compassion to your fellow beings and this humanity of planet Earth. I call those angels. Now, you might not say, well, there's no such a thing as demons. You might be one of those psychologists or those psychiatrists that have done this research for many, many years and say there's no such a thing as demons. But if you have a thought of hate, if there are thoughts of envy, ambition, anger, that destroys not only your perception of how the world is coming into you through your eyes, through your ears, through your senses. Anger can be a demon in the sense of not like the demons you see on TV, you know, with horns and big claws and big teeth, but they are thoughts of destruction, of destructive nature. And then there are those thoughts that we internalize for our own formation, for our own personality. We talk to ourselves. Negative self-talk can be really destructive inside the mind, inside your mind, my mind. And so those are the personal demons. Those are the self-destructive demons, if you might say. I am 55 years of age. I've seen a lot, and it's a lot of other things that I ignore. But I have learned one thing, is that human beings do not require of any chemical alteration in order to intelligently choose what is the best for them. And yes, we must trust that someone out there has discovered, has come up with an idea, has come up with a solution to some problem that we live with, you know. Just like somebody invented TV. You know, how can we see the dead people? Well, now we see the dead people. You know, we see shows that people that died for many, many years, and we still see them every time we have a chance. Movies, we see dead people. Now, that is the right way of seeing people, by the way. I don't particularly think that you can see, because our perception, that our eyes can only see so much or so little of the light spectrum. Therefore, we are blind to other realities and perhaps other dimensions. But here comes faith. By faith, through faith, and with faith, we're able to see those other dimensions. Now, we don't have to die to go to heaven. We don't have to wait until we leave this body behind to go to heaven. You can go to heaven right now. You can go to heaven. You can be in heavens right now by accepting, first of all, who you are, taking your, you know, your personality and saying, today, in this moment, I choose to be happy. I choose to change my perspective. I choose to leave my past behind where it belongs, and perhaps reorganize and recondition those memories because they were hurtful, and now I don't want it to be hurtful. So I changed that reality. But at the same time, I don't lie about my feelings. I tell the truth about my feelings. How I feel about my past. How I feel about my past actions, past thinking, past choices. And then today I made the choice of take all these things and bring them into balance. There is no way I can bring into balance to say, if I'm going to practice hate, that is not possible to bring into balance. But I cannot say that I don't practice things that might harm somebody else, because a lot of times what I'm saying right now could be setting you aside and maybe is giving you some thoughts that you know, that will be destructive. You don't know why. They could be. I try not to, and I apologize if they are doing, if whatever I'm saying is taking you out of your safe place. But at the same time, you can turn off this video anytime you want. Therefore, you are safe. You choose to do that. Personal choice, personal responsibility is part of the whole spectrum of being a human being. Personal choice, personal responsibility also has to do with the fact that it makes you stronger, wiser, and you can work on your future today. How you got here is important, but how you go from here to there is more important, because this moment, this very instant, is the most important in your life, in my life. I can choose not to make this video, I can choose not to speak to you, I can choose not to do these things. It's a choice. But I answered the calling. I was called by the universe. Read these things, learn these things, spend 40 years of my life doing it. Sit down now and share it. Don't keep it to yourself. I don't want to keep it to myself. And the things you are learning today, as you are surfing through the internet and tumbling over other videos, you might want to discuss them with somebody else too. You might want to learn a different perspective. At the end of it all, no one person has the whole truth. Not one person or group has the whole idea of how to have society go in what direction. But society, as a congruent whole, as a congruent group, as humanity as all, as the whole thing, we can choose. For me, and for many of us, December 21st of this year, 2012, marks the new Genesis. The Genesis of understanding, of love and relationships, of empathy, of being able to put ourselves in other people's shoes, and not people from other countries, people from other cultures, people from different religion, people without religion, you know. Namaste.